Now, I spent the past few days in the bush, outback Queensland, around Longreach and Winton. What an eye-opener. We'll put a few images up just showing how dry it is, and thanks to Alliance Airlines and Sheehan Events, who put on a charter for the races. We got about 150 people out there and a crowd of about 3,000 for yesterday's Longreach Cup meeting. Now, when the majority of Australians live in cities and on the coast, we take for granted the things that struggling people in the bush face every day, like drought. There's a little town just down the road from Longreach called Ilfracombe. It's the home of Matt Scott, the famous Queensland footballer. Now, it had its first rain in 8 years in February. First rain in 8 years. But they got so much that it killed most of the cattle and sheep, who actually drowned. Now, on Saturday, I drove the 180 k's between Longreach and Winton, and I've never seen such dry and barren land. When you see the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, talking about piecemeal investments of an extra 100 million here or 100 million there, it's feel-good stuff. But we as a nation need to be having the conversation right now that will sustain the future of our agricultural and grazing industries for hundreds of years, not just the next 3 or 5 years. We need a plan to keep our country towns alive. They're dying. They are dying. If it's not for outback tourism, if it wasn't for outback tourism, these towns would be dead now. The traditional reliance upon the land is now just a pipe dream. Suicide rates in these outback communities have hit plague proportions. Where's the vision around dams? We hear sensible people talking all the time about building dams, and no one wants to build dams. We see certainly the Victorian and Queensland governments don't want to build dams. Where's the vision around building irrigation systems that will sustain these people through drought? Now, these are the nation-building projects akin to building the rail and roads back hundreds of years ago that sustain us, to the power poles and the electricity that sustain us. We as a country need to get our act together and develop a 50 to 100 year plan to help our country cousins, because the droughts will continue, the suicides will continue, the stock will continue to die, the dingoes will continue to kill sheep because of inadequate fencing. Governments will continue to shut down key pastoral colleges like they just did in Longreach and Dalby and the Burdekin and Emerald. Governments will continue to appease the Greens with their vegetation management madness laws, and communities in the bush will continue to decline. Now, at Winton on Saturday, there was a resilience and a community spirit that you just can't buy, you just can't fake. Their festival even attracted a team from Iceland for the annual Dunny Derby. The Icelandics, of course, won. It was Winton where Banjo Patterson first penned and performed Waltzing Matilda. Now, it's a town that relies on tourism and filmmaking, not cattle and sheep like it did half a century ago. It has one of the most compelling dinosaur museums in the world. Longreach too is doing it tough. Its annual horse racing cup, as I mentioned, on Saturday, attracted about 3,000 people who let their hair down, oblivious to the problems they're now experiencing on the land. Longreach was the original home of Qantas. Did you know that? The original home of Qantas. These places, they're steeped in Aussie history. So next time you're thinking of going on a holiday, head west. Forget Bali, there's a bonking ban there anyway. At least they encourage a roll in the hay, excuse me, out west. But most of all, just get out and spend your hard-earned in the bush. Teach your kids some Aussie history. We can't afford to let these towns die. We just can't. Where's the political leadership on the bush? Where's the vision and the energy? Where's the long-term plan to help these communities afloat? Forget climate change. The demise of the bush is the biggest crisis facing Australia. They need our help, every one of us. Now, politics is supposed to be a battle of ideas, but saving the Australian bush should not be a battle. It's the preeminent issue of our time.